we will go ahead and get started since it is right now at the top of the hour. So again, thank you for being here. This webinar is about maximizing your summer schedule. And really what we're digging into is utilizing digital tools to help you transition smoothly into the busier season of the year. And while you're getting ready to gear up for all of that, how to use this time that might be a little bit slower at your ministry to kind of clean up your data, make sure you've got all of your volunteers up to date and ready to go. All of your generosity is set and ready to go for, the busy season. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and take a look at what we're going to, I guess we should introduce ourselves. Sorry. Yeah, I'm Jessica Moore. I've done lots and lots of our webinars here. So if you've joined us before, welcome back. Hi, good to see you again. I've been here for 5 years with Ministry Brands and have worked in a few roles, one of which was working directly with clients for success. And that was probably one of my very favorite roles that I've done here. So working with customers, with churches, partnering with you to do kingdom work and leaning into digital tools to help you do that well. That's what I care about, and that's why I'm here. I now work more internally, teaching our teams about our products, about what's new and what's coming up, so that they can then turn around and communicate that really well to our churches and our ministries. So we have with us today Philip. He is our guest speaker. He also works here at Ministry Brands. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Well, guys, I am so pumped. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time now. I joked with Jessica, I'm the wild card. They haven't had me on a webinar yet, so they don't know what's going to happen. But I think we're going to have a great time. I come from 15 years of vocational ministry experience in church plants, multi-site churches, everything in between. I like to say that I eat, sleep, and breathe church, and I know you do too. And I think it's interesting, every spring or so, right after Easter, I would always tell myself in ministry, I would say, we're finally going to get a chance to breathe and to just relax a little bit over the summer. As we get ready for the fall, we're going to be able to get ahead. And for 15 consecutive years, that slowdown never came, right? Because we're just so busy. And I know you are too, just VBS, kids camps, student camps, retreats, preparing for the fall. It's a blur. So we don't take for granted that you're spending this time with us. And I would love if I could open us up with a word of prayer. So yes. Bow your head, close your eyes, because we'll know if you're not. Father God, we are so grateful for this time together. We're grateful for your body, your bride, the church. We thank you that we are united all across the country right now under the banner, the name of Jesus. And by his blood that was shed on the cross for our sins, we can be called sons and daughters. Lord, thank you that we know we don't serve a dead man in a grave, but that we serve a risen Savior who rules and reigns forever and ever. We praise you for that. And even as we think about July 4th coming up, Lord, we just want to say thank you for the incredible freedoms that we enjoy, and just the jobs that we get to have serving the local church. It is truly a gift, truly a blessing, and we don't want to take that for granted. So, Lord, during this time, would you encourage us? Would you equip us? Would you prepare us for the task, the wonderful task that you've called us to, and that we would do it by the power of your Spirit. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Philip. Okay, we're going to real quick go over what we're going to discuss today with you all. Quick agenda. So as I mentioned, we're talking about tools that you have, digital tools, and how to essentially get them ready for the busier season, which Philip is sharing that there's not really like a slow season. So even if you don't have a ton of breathing room, right before the school year kicks up, and essentially the school year is kind of when everything is going to start again. If you don't have a ton of breathing room, then we still encourage you to try to fit these in, just because it will allow you to start the school, essentially the year off cleaned up, right? So do some end of the summer cleaning so that you're going into the fall with as much momentum as you can. So we're going to talk about updating member information and automations. And so some of these things, if you do not utilize Ministry Brands products, your platform may or may not do these things. If any of the things we talk about today, your platform does not do, and you are interested in knowing a little bit more about our Ministry Brands products, please let us know. Tia will point you in the right direction to do that. But again, we're going to cover all the things. Some of them may apply, some of them may not. So just take what works for you and shelf what doesn't. But definitely ask us if you're interested. So talking about member information, a lot of that stuff's going to live within the CHMS platform. Then we're going to talk about your website and what you can do there. And then we're going to talk about generosity and how to make sure that as high giving season approaches, you are ready to accept gifts. It's a wonderful experience for your donors. We're thanking them appropriately and all the things. So Philip's going to take over and talk about member information in CHMS because he is far more knowledgeable about this particular tool than I am. So Philip, take it away.
Yeah, and I love to talk fast, and I love to cram in as much content as possible. So please listen fast, but just know you'll get a checklist at the end of our webinar today if there's anything you missed. But as we think about updating member information and automations going into the fall, I don't know if that sounds particularly engaging to you or not, but I want you to think about it this way. That great member data, accurate member data, is the foundation for member care. If you want to have great member care, pastoral care, then have great, accurate data. It is the foundation for that, because when we think about our jobs and our roles with the local church, I know you didn't get into this for the money, right? You got into this because you love God and you love people and you want to be a part of that process of shepherding people that God has entrusted into your care. So having great data is super important, because think about, as a staff member or a pastor, you're about to go have that phone conversation or lunch meeting or whatever it is with a person, knowing that they just got that big job promotion, or maybe somebody lost a job, or maybe someone is having spiritual breakthroughs in their life. They just surrendered their life to Jesus. They're going on their first mission trip, or maybe conversely, they've been disconnecting from the body. Being able to know these things on the front end allows you to shepherd your people better, because you know your people better. So accurate information fosters intentional connection. We want people to feel seen, feel heard, feel known, and most of all, to feel loved. And so I want to encourage you to really build into your rhythms, like Jessica was just saying. Build into your rhythms, whether it's weekly, definitely monthly, but if not weekly. Time to just scan your records to check for duplicates. Duplicates, that does not have to be a swear word, okay? If you're using our people management system, and you can see in the top right hand corner that we give you a button that says find duplicates. You can just click that button. It presents you with a list. You can merge people as needed. You can adjust families based on those dynamics that may have changed. But one that I really want to call attention to, where it talks about in that third bullet point, attendance lapses. You can use our automations, which I love our automations. I geek out on our automations. Sometimes I lose sleep thinking about all the things we could automate. But you could use our automations to say, hey, when a person's moved off and maybe they're in another state now, or they're disconnected from this body now, we can automatically drop them into a group so that you can know, hey, these people can be deleted. And I don't mean like not deleted from our hearts, but get them out of our database, right? Let's keep it cleaned up. Let's keep it accurate, so that the people we are ministering to, we can do more intentionally. Because on the flip side, you could use those same attendance automations to say, if a person has been disconnected or disengaged for the last 4 out of 8 weeks, 8 out of 12 weeks, whatever you want to set that threshold to be, we can automatically notify a small group leader or notify someone on staff or whoever to make sure that people aren't falling through the gaps, right? That we have great member care, great guest follow-up, all of those things. And one last thing I'll say, I told you I'll talk fast and I like to say a lot. is that form example you see there in the bottom right hand corner is a great example of maybe once a year sending out to your people to say, hey, we're just trying to refresh our records and make sure we're serving you the best we can. So fill out this form, and they can fill it out, and any field on that form can automatically update any field in the person's profile, so that not only do you have their best contact information, that's just ground level, but you could get additional info, like you can see there in that middle box, like what campus do they primarily attend, or what's their marital status, membership status, their current job, their top spiritual gift, special skills, serving area of interest. You have 50 customizable text fields to be able to capture all the data points, all the information that's important to how you do ministry.
Yeah, this to me is ministry on auto drive. It is such a no-brainer. Realistically, I mean, there are so many statistics out there about pastoral burnout, and it's because you're not physically capable of doing everything that you may feel called to do by yourself. And so utilizing these tools to kind of help put pieces into place to keep you successfully doing the ministry that you so desire to do, to me feels like such a no-brainer, right?
That's right.
It's so cool. Like, I'm learning things too, and I had forgotten that the fields on that form actually automatically go right into their profile if you've got it set to do that. What a time saver. That's incredible. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. It's to empower you as you are serving your people. And to think about, as we're heading into the fall, what are your processes like for guest follow-up or small group onboarding, or when people want to take a next step in their faith? Do you have the processes in place? Do you have the messages in place to lead people through those? So an example would be like what you see there in those blue boxes. Like if someone's a new guest from check-in, or maybe they filled out your connection card because you put a QR code on the screen, or you said text guest to our 10-digit number or 5-digit short code, and it sends them to a form. And so that first day that they get connected with your church, they get this automated text that says, hey, thanks for checking us out. You can reply to this text or click here to learn more about us, or to tell us about your experience, or whatever it might be. And then automatically, it could be 2 weeks later or whatever time frame you want, our automations can set it up to say, hey, we know it's easy to be overwhelmed at a new church, so allow us to help you get connected. And then it takes them to a next steps form that they can fill out and get more plugged into the body. Or maybe 4 weeks after they first show up, they get some kind of automated text or email that says, hey, we think one of the best ways to stay connected is joining a small group of people who care about you and love you. And then they can just tap right there on the message to go to the group finder. It'll look something like what you see in the top right hand corner. It's pins on a map. They can choose one that's close to them, see who's leading it. And when they click join, our automations once again kicking in to notify those small group leaders and to notify maybe a small group's pastor or someone on staff, again, so that the loop is fully closed. Better member care, better guest follow-up. Are you prepared for the fall? Some of these items.
I love it. So good.
And this is something I get so passionate about, but there are 3 admonitions I would give you as you're automating. It is possible to over automate. And in case in point, I think about this automated postcard that I get on my birthday every year from my State Farm agent. And
yes, I know the one.
And it says, dear resident of Callaway Drive, wishing you the best on your special day. Sincerely, sincerely, your State Farm agent. And I've gotten that for the last 5 years. And for the last 5 years, I have thrown it directly into the trash can, right? And I'm sure Brian's a great guy. Brian, if you're out there listening, I'm sure he's a great guy. But that is an example of automation that doesn't really speak to me. Maybe it does to you. But imagine if, and it comes to the context of the local church, if your process looks a little bit different, where instead of blasting a happy birthday automated text that they may or may not think actually came from a real human, it notifies you, hey, it's Cynthia's birthday. be sure and reach out and make her feel special. You have a relationship with Cynthia, so you can reach out in the way that makes the most sense. Or today's the anniversary of this person's salvation date, because we're tracking that date in our database, so we know it's the anniversary of Joseph's surrendering his life to Jesus. Reach out and celebrate with him. And so I can choose how I want to reach out. Do I want to make a phone call? Maybe he's in college, I want to pay him a visit because they're not doing anything else, right? However you feel is most appropriate. It's the anniversary of someone passing away, something a little more serious. But instead of them getting some kind of automated message, it alerts you so that you can say, do I need to pay them a visit? Do I need to give them a call today and pray with them? What would be the most pastorally sensitive thing that I could do? So allow your automations to help you shepherd personally. That's number one. But number two would be automate powerfully. I got a lot to say here. So Jessica, just stop me if I start talking too much. Just say time. But automate powerfully, because I truly believe everything I've seen that we have the most robust workflows and automations in the church management space. And so like automating a reminder about a birthday is like child's play. As you can see in the top right, you can automate far more complex processes like a volunteer pipeline process. You can see all the steps in that process, how many people are in it at any given moment, who leads that stage of the process. Let's say someone fills out that form submission in step one, have it automatically drop them into the roster for that first training class they have to go to. And it's doing that in real time, so that, 3:30 on Sunday afternoon, when the teacher for that training class shows up at the church to teach the class, they just pull up the group on their phone. It's updated in real time. They can tap, 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 who's present, who's not. All the present people get moved to the next step in the process automatically. Or some churches I know don't even do that. They actually have the people fill out a form that says, I attended this class. And when they hit submit on that form, it moves them to the next step in the process. Super duper powerful.
Yeah, when we were preparing for this webinar, Philip mentioned these utilizing automations to remind ministry leaders to take action versus automating messages to go to folks for certain, triggers or anniversary dates, etc. And I was like, wait,
right,
that's brilliant. Yeah, super, super smart. So, okay, I'll let you finish this slide and then we'll keep going.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll try not to belabor it, but I just get so passionate about these.
Here's one thing I do want to mention really quick is, again, so we're talking really detailed about what our platform is capable of. But zooming out for a quick second, just a reminder, even if your platform is not able to do all of these little things, the whole point is, if you want to do ministry really well, then you've got to know your people, right? And even if you can't personally know every single person and every single detail about them, lean into your CHMS platform. Some of them are more robust than others, but at the end of the day, these are what you can do. Here's the powerful part of what the data can allow you to do. And so we're going to continue to highlight features of our Ministry Brands platform. But again, if you don't have a Ministry Brands platform, make sure that you're taking away the heart for each of these slides. Like, people want to be loved. They want to be cared for. And even if it's just you working with like a Google Calendar to remind yourselves, that feels crazy chaotic to me personally, but if you haven't ever considered setting reminders for people's birthdays at your ministry so that someone can call, you should do that. It would make them feel super loved and seen. So anyway, yes, definitely keep going, Philip. Just wanted to zoom out really quick for a minute and just say, hey, if all of these little minute things don't necessarily apply to you, please hear the heart behind it too, because Philip's heart, the reason he gets passionate about this is because he does love and care for people well. And so anyway, keep going, Philip.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
Well said, Jessica. Thank you. And the same would be true for, just to apply it to a next steps process. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but, whether you have this next steps process right here on your website, your mobile app, somebody can text next to your 10-digit number. Just consider, hey, each checkbox on that next steps form can put people down a different pathway that's automated. So you just have so many options at your disposal. But that's why I would say, finally, automate personally, automate powerfully, automate prayerfully. And if you're not appreciating the alliteration that I brought to you today,
Love
I can't.
alliteration.
I can't help you. I can't help you. I mean, this is like a Baptist sermon that I'm preaching to you right now. Jessica, let's do an altar call at the end. But yeah, it really is interesting how many churches that I work very closely with a lot of churches, and it's the highlight of what I do to talk about automations. And it's interesting how most churches haven't really thought through each step in the pathway of their guest assimilation process or their volunteer pipeline or whatever it may be, and get their growth track. They haven't really thought through all those steps in great detail, and the automations actually help us to bring all of that together and remove tedious administrative burden. So take advantage of it. And but I'll pivot because I could talk about automations all day. But I know something that you're going to experience between now and the fall is going to be Kids Promotion Sunday. And I know for so many administrators, that can be a daunting task because maybe the people management system you're currently using requires you to do a lot of itty bitty steps to move this person from this group to that group and from this group to that group, and it takes forever. You dread it. Let our people management system take those hours and bring them down to minutes. It's so easy to go in and just select a group and move them to the next group. It's so easy to even leverage automations in this process, not only with promotion, but also with how you follow up with those new guests and new families. So let us help you with that. If you ever need help with that, by the way, we've got all the people in the world on staff here, between folks like Jessica, who are incredible, folks like me, who are mediocre, and then folks like our support team and our consultants and our trainers. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, I will say real quick, let's go back to the Promotion Sunday. So my husband and I we serve with kiddos, and I think there's certain jumps, so we have the kindergartners, so they're jumping from 2s and 3s, which is really more nursery to more of a classroom setting. And so again, kind of going to like thought leadership on this and just kind of hearing the heart from a mom and also a Sunday school teacher as you're working through Promotion Sunday. This is something that I really would encourage y'all to just pause and say, what is our heart here? What are we trying to communicate? How are we building excitement? How are we building confidence in these parents to know that the teacher is going to be ready for 15 or 50 kids? They may not, but parents should feel that they are. And right. Also, what requirements for that classroom? Do kiddos need to be potty trained when they get there? The more information you can provide these parents as they're moving kiddos up, the more excited they will be, the more confidence they will build into their kids, and that transition will be so much smoother. So yes, to Philip's point, maximize this tool for Promotion Sunday. It's a thing, it's happening, it's coming up real quick. And so make sure that you are very thoughtful in the way that you communicate this to your members. And you can do that through the platform, utilizing the communication tools that are available in there.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a pivotal moment in the life of your church too. So take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And also, we were talking a minute ago about how you could move volunteers automatically from like, I'm interested in serving to I am qualified and ready to serve. But do you have the tools and the mechanisms in place to actually manage all of those teams and those volunteers effectively? Because you got to think about, from the time people show up, you've got your parking team, and you've got some sort of guest or hospitality team. You've probably got ushers. You've probably got chair movers and stuffers. I mean, you've got media folks and production teams. You've got music and worship, kids, students, adult classes, and small group leaders. I mean, there's just security. Don't forget security, your pastoral team. You've got so many teams. Allow our system to help you manage all of those teams. You can schedule unlimited teams. If you have one team, you got 100 teams. Doesn't cost you $1 more. So why don't you just schedule 100, right? And send reminders via text, via email. And when it talks about streamlining your background checks, that is so critical because, as you know, you don't just background check a person one time to get them, involved. But you've
Mhm.
got to renew that background check maybe once a year or every other year. Are you doing that? But imagine
Mm.
if your church management system would remind you, because that's a date that you're tracking, as you can see there in the top right hand box. Last background check among other dates that you're tracking can alert you, hey, these people need to be renewed for a background check. And then it automatically drops them into a group called needs a background check. And then you go into that group, however often, select all, and order that background check in bulk, or you can do it individual in a person's profile. But the point is that it really takes the guesswork out of it for you and gets you into a very streamlined rhythm. And on that note, we just want to point out that our people management system has a beautiful integration with Protect My Ministry, and Protect My Ministry does a phenomenal job of keeping your people safe. And we know that's one of the top priorities of any church. I mean, you can see those stats right there. 4 out of every 10 churches are not even running the correct background check.
Yeah.
90% of churches are not rescreening their staff and volunteers annually. Please don't be a statistic when it's so easy for our Protect My Ministry team to come alongside you, help you understand the package that's right for you. And it's just an easy win to keep your people safe. So
Yeah.
I've said so much about this. Jessica, I don't know if you had any thoughts about that
Honestly,
before we
you've
keep
done
tracking.
phenomenal. Yeah, no, you've done so good. I think that high level, there's so much that this platform can do. And you said it truly, like, when it comes to, we're not even biased. Philip and I have both worked with other CHMSs at our churches, and truly what our platform can do is incredible. And so, and again, it's like you can utilize a little bit or a lot of it. We want to build your confidence to use more this year. Let's use more of these automations. Let's use more of the tools that can help you minister better. I think background checks is a huge, awesome call out right now as you're gearing up to get volunteers onboarded again. Let's get everybody up and going.
Yes.
And so those background checks, they're built in. They'll remind you. All the information stays right there within the platform. When you're looking at that volunteer profile, you'll be able to just click and see what their background check status is. Any information or notes that are noteworthy will be there as well. And so, yeah, this is a great integration. I think something that's really important to highlight. So we're going to shift gears into our website information. So we've got less slides here. And as far as our platforms are concerned, we do have a few options for websites. If you're already utilizing our websites, then you will be familiar with some of at least the screenshots that we're showcasing. But truly, at the end of the day, this section applies to every single person on here. If you don't have a website, friends, it is 2024. You need a website.
Right.
Not just a Facebook page, but truly a website that houses information. In fact, I was doing some research as I was preparing these slides, and I discovered that 17 million non-regular churchgoers visit church websites annually. So that's a really interesting statistic to me. Phil, did you share that question, Philip, or did Tia? Are you guys seeing that? The workflows and automation.
I do see that question pop up. That must have been Tia.
I think Tia might have been an accident. Okay, so that statistic to me was really interesting because it says non-churchgoer. Oh, yeah, non-regular churchgoers. So people are just exploring these websites. Even if they don't go to church regularly, they're still checking these websites out. So I thought that was super interesting. And then 80% of visitors will check out a website before attending. So it is your virtual front door. This is where people will go to find out who you are, what you're about, and a lot of times what you can do for them. And especially when it comes to childcare or, I know a lot of churches do like Celebrate Recovery. A lot of times people are looking for help. They're looking for hope. They're looking for encouragement. They're looking for Jesus. And so it's really important that you comb through your website on a regular basis. So be inviting, be informative, and be crystal clear on your website as far as like what people can anticipate. So yeah.
And I think too, like when we first moved to the city we're in now, That's how we found our home church. We found their website, looked great. It seemed like we would fit in. And so we went. And when we're out of town on vacation, that's how we decide where we're going to visit. We like to just experience something new. And we go to the website. And I can just tell you, if you've got dead links and you've got, headshot profiles that look like they're from like the Reagan administration or something, and it looks like you haven't cared for your website, we're probably not going there, because right or wrong, I think assumptions are made about the quality of your ministry based on the quality of your website, and that is not a sales pitch. That is just, maybe it's the
human
my own
nature.
heart, but that is human nature. There you go. Very good.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's so true. And so as I was looking through examples of this, I found these two examples and I thought these were fantastic. And these are websites that were built using our platforms, but a lot of them work the same way. So I loved on the you can see what's scrolling right now on the phone, but it's talking, I mean, they've got everything there. They've got directions for the 2 campuses, what to expect, arrival time, what to wear. Like, these are details that matter, and they're so helpful so that somebody's confident when they walk into the front door. And then on that second slide, the second image, I thought having a video, like either the most recent sermon, or what would be even cooler would be a welcome video from the pastor that kind of shares the heart of the ministry. And just like a genuine heartfelt welcome and kind of what we're about and what you can expect. I've seen those on websites before, and I think those are just really, really powerful. So, but again, as you're adding these things, give them a second look. Let's not just like set it and forget it and don't look at it for 6 months. There may be things that are different. But generally speaking, these are what we would encourage you to review as someone is looking at your church for the first time, knowing that this is your virtual entryway. These are definitely things that you want to look at regularly and update.
And I love what you highlighted there, Jessica, about people having what they need to feel confident.
Right. Yeah.
Because I know for us, we're always thinking, my wife and I, we're thinking about what's going to be the experience for our kids when we show up.
Yes.
Are they going to hear the gospel? Are they going to be in a safe environment? Mm-hmm. Are they, is there some kind of pre-check option? We're all about that, because the last thing we want as a guest is to stand out and look like we don't know what we're doing. We like to blend in, kind of be under the radar. So the more that we can find that on the website, the better.
Yeah. Yep. Such a good point. Same. I like to, if we're trying somewhere new, I'm like, I just want to look like I belong here. I don't want to look like a new person, but, okay. So then these are other parts of your websites that are maybe less what folks are going to be looking at, maybe a little bit more detailed, definitely more copy, words on a page, but they need to be looked at regularly. So like your church's mission, it probably hasn't changed drastically since it started, but go in there and refresh it anyway. Make sure that things sound modern, update your images to, activities or mission trips or things that have been done more recently to showcase, your current involvement with your community and maybe the mission field. Your staff page to Phillips. I mean, I don't know if my headshot is anywhere on the screen right now that you guys can see. That headshot is old. I need to update you know what I mean? So when you're looking through the website, they should look uniform. They should look not super blurry. They shouldn't look like a bunch of selfies on there, right? And so take a minute to update those. The staff page has a staff member recently had more children, so just updating those to make sure that everybody is accurately represented for this coming year would be great. If you're not already checking those more regularly than every year, definitely consider doing that before the busyness of this school year starts.
Yeah, good litmus test. If people don't recognize you based on your staff profile on the website, you've waited too long. You need to update it.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to refresh. Okay, so then lastly I think this is our last website slide, but lastly on your website, build momentum for activities coming up. So there's going to be a ton going on. There should be activities throughout the summer as well, for sure. If you're not already, make sure that those are on there. But as the school year begins, generally speaking, small groups also start. Volunteer signups also kick off. So there's a lot of stuff happening. So make sure that you've got a page dedicated to upcoming events. And then for events that maybe we need a little bit more visibility, go ahead and utilize announcement banners. If you want to use like countdown clocks for, we've got a youth event coming up for our kids. It's a kids conference, a youth conference. And so you better believe that countdown is everywhere. They've got a countdown on social media. They've got a countdown on the website. And so that's fun. It builds momentum. It's a reminder. You're not going to be, there's definitely a limit. You can definitely be annoying about something, but also life is happening. People are traveling. They're on vacation. Exactly. And so it is okay to remind them. It is okay to make a big deal out of things that are a big deal. So I think the last slide is really more of like a, did you know you could do this? Is that right, Philip, or am I missing one? Yes. Okay.
Yes,
so we have Forms, Forms platform within a couple of our products. There are also other digital form platforms out there. But we wanted to remind you that the Forms platform that we offer, we've got it in the Giving platform as well as the CHMS platform, as well as an Amplify. And so if you're utilizing our Forms platform, those forms can be embedded into your website. So all that means is that form will live right there on the website instead of like clicking a link that says sign up here, right? That form lives right there on the website. That allows people to complete the form without ever leaving your website. When you're opening another browser on a computer, it's not that big of a deal because you're just creating tabs at the top. But on a mobile device, some people may not remember how to get back to the page that they were on before, or if they've got questions about the date. If you've written this big, long, wonderful explanation about the missions trip that they should be registering for, and then they got to click a button and they leave the website, they now can no longer see the information that was on the web page, right? Unless they're jumping back and forth. And so you can embed those forms right into the website. You can also utilize QR codes. So each of the forms comes with a QR code that you can download, and then that QR code can obviously be put on a website. Sometimes that's really helpful. Unless they're accessing your website from a phone, then it's not helpful. But the other option is putting it on posters, right? Scan here to register. Or one really cool use case that I've heard of is putting the QR code on the back of pews for giving. So, scan here to give. What a quick, easy way to give people access to that generosity moment. Even throughout the service, if they can't do it, if they come in late after the announcement, they can access that giving form through the QR code that's right there in front of them. So many use cases for this. But just a reminder, people know and assume most forms come with a link, and that's great. But the QR code is underused, in my opinion. So we wanted to remind you that that's there. And then the QR code as well gives you some flexibility. So I think that's it in the way of websites. Were you going to say something, Philip?
Yeah, I'd love to add, the number one thing that I feel like churches are looking for when I talk to them, just overall 30,000 foot view, is to get their systems as integrated as possible so that we don't have duplicate data entry, so that everything is talking to each other. And an incredible way to do this is embedding those forms in your website, because if it's your contact us page, if it's your pray for me page, if it's your next steps page, if it's I want to volunteer, any of those types of things, so that now the same thing is happening on your website, your mobile app, your people management system. So no matter where people access you from, the data is there and you're not doing duplicate work. You can avoid that with this one simple tip right here.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm trying not to monitor questions because they are flying in so fast, and Tia is doing an incredible job. Thank you for your patience. You guys are so engaged, and I couldn't thank you more. So Tia's answering those as quickly as possible. But Kelly did ask if forms can be embedded in other websites, and the answer is yes. So the the embed code is, Kelly, channel me. We'll get you instructions as well. But in the forms builder, there's form properties and a section where you can share. all of those are there. So the QR code, the embed code is going to be there. The direct link is going to be there as well. So everything's kind of housed in one spot for you, but that embed code is essentially just like computer coding. And so it can go into any website because it's a code. So any website that's built with a code, which is all of them. So yeah, great question. You do not have to have one of our platforms to be able to embed forms.
Nor do you have to have website building experience. I could say that I have embedded forms into a website, simple $30 a month website, and it looks awesome. So take advantage of it. It's too easy to be passing that up.
Yeah. Good call. Okay, so we're going to transition into talking about generosity. And so this is near and dear to my heart. This is my little wheelhouse, if you will. And I'm so passionate about generosity. And I've shared my testimony on here before, but just my husband and I were in a horrible place financially. We rearranged our finances. We started being super consistent with generosity with our church and tithing, and God has blown our minds. And so I talk about this from a place of like, do not rob your congregation of an opportunity to be unbelievably blessed because it's uncomfortable to talk about generosity. Truly, it is biblical. It is something that we are called to do. And so don't shy away from it. And so that kind of leads us to the next slide. Build a culture of generosity at your church. This should not be something that you announce for 5 seconds on Sunday mornings and then that you do a couple sermons about at the end of the year. Please don't do that. Your church as a whole, you're already doing generous things, whether that's serving in your community or doing missions trips, supporting missionaries. All you have to do is talk about those things. Talk about the ways that you're already pouring out Jesus's generosity to your community, and people will want to be on board when they understand the transparency, that they understand where their money is going and what is happening with it, what lives are being impacted. They will be much more likely to get involved and give. And so if you take nothing away from this section, it's just truly build this culture of generosity instead of just talking about tithing. It is such a radical difference. It's not hard and it's not complicated. It's just a commitment to maybe get over the taboo part of asking for money and just talk about what you're already doing with that money, with time, and with talents. What are you doing with all those things? How are you already being generous? And people will want to engage with you. So yes, that's a soapbox for me, obviously.
And I love that you phrased it that way too, because when I think about Jesus in the Bible, we shouldn't be shy to talk about giving because Jesus is definitely not shy to talk about giving. And it's not like he needs our money, right? My pastor would always say, what are you going to give God? $20? What, he doesn't need your money. He wants your heart, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So at the end of the day, if we frame this as what it is, a gospel discipleship issue, that's how we build that culture of generosity. I'm sure you already know this. Hopefully that your teams talk about this internally. There's a lot of churches that find it scary or they beat around the bush as it relates to giving, when really what we want to do is open up avenues. Because what I've noticed in my own life is as I release my grip from things like money and resources, I find that God also releases my grip from other things that I'm holding on to in my life. They seem to go hand in hand. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
It's the best. I love it. Okay, so I think we only have 4 slides here, so we're getting ready to wrap up here, folks. But expand your ways to give. So hopefully you've still passing a bucket, or you've got a insert your gift here stations around your church. But if you're not already offering digital giving, please jump on board. Everybody is giving to all the things using their phone.
Everybody's doing it.
Everybody's doing it. So hop on board here if you're not already there. Text to give or text giving is another really easy way to capture gifts. And then the QR code as well. So those kind of work hand in hand. You can either text give to a certain number and you'll access the giving form. You can scan the QR code and access the giving form. Either way, they're using their phones to do that. And then kiosks. If you didn't already know, we do offer a kiosk service. It is an add-on service, but it's pretty great. And so what that allows you to do is have a stationary iPad kiosk either in your like entryway, lobby, or wherever you see fit, right? You can have one or multiple. And from there, guests you have full permission settings on the back end, and you can either just make it just the giving form and it's just stationary on that giving form all the time. You can make it just a volunteer form. You can make it just a prayer request form. You can control that, or you can turn on the option to have giving and then events, which is the screenshot. It's kind of small on here, but that's the screenshot that we're showing here is the option for both. When they click on that calendar, it will provide a list of upcoming events that they can register for. And so our kiosk option is great. If you are interested, let us know and we'll give you a little bit more information on that. We've got a Help Center article that you can review that includes pricing information. So that's great if you want to start utilizing kiosks. And then if you aren't already offering some way to capture digital currency like crypto or Bitcoin, you can now facilitate those types of gifts through our giving platform as well. So expand your ways to give. Think about it. It's a good time to start adding some things in. Don't be scared by it. We can help you. And then on kind of the same note, streamline your giving experience. So you say, well, we've got a giving form. We're good. And also, Jess, we've got PayPal on our website. And I can say, well, that's super rad. Did you know you can have PayPal on the giving form so that you're capturing all of those gifts in one place?
One place.
You can have consolidated reporting. And I think that's really important. Going way back to the beginning of this webinar, talking about data and numbers and how powerful that is. When you can have streamlined reporting and have all of the things in one report, that helps you get a better idea of the generosity health of your church, right? Talking about the culture of generosity. Okay, so we've made these steps and we're implementing these changes so that our church is talking about generosity more. But now you can track that. You can actually see that growth within your giving platform if you've got all the things going into one report. And so, yeah, if you are operating on more than one giving platform or form, it is time to consolidate that. So again, we'd be happy to help you with that, but definitely for your benefit so that you're not looking and trying to reconcile in two separate places or understand that. And then, we actually didn't say this at the beginning of the webinar, but all the tools we're talking about on here today. So website, giving, and people management. Those are the three we're highlighting. We've got lots more than that, but those are the three we're highlighting today. Those all integrate with each other. Okay. So as gifts are coming in through your one giving form with all the payment types, that information can then push into your church management software so that you can have a better full picture of what that member, how their personal generosity is either growing or declining. So using the data, using the workflows, using automations, someone was giving consistently, they suddenly stopped. Okay, so that's an indicator. That is an indicator that you need to be ministering to that person. Did they recently lose a job? Did they recently acquire crazy debt that they feel like they can no longer give to the church? Are you seizing that opportunity to say, hey, why did you stop giving to our church? No. Hey, is everything okay? Are we okay? Is there a way that we can help you, support you? This is a really kind of personal side note, but we recently had a family member pass away. My brother-in-law passed away, and our church stepped in, and they came with us to set up funeral arrangements. And after the funeral arrangements were discussed, they pulled us into the lobby, and the church jumped in and said they would cover all funeral expenses, which blew my mind. And she said, Jess, this is why we give. This is why we can minister to people. And so that was, I mean, it rocked our world, obviously, but two, it made us love our church so much more. So that's just a really cool, practical, personal example to me. But yeah, this is definitely, having all that information in one place is convenient, but also powerful because it's actionable. You can do something with it. Okay, Philip, we don't work well together on these webinars. We're just going to chat all day.
We've got too much to say.
Okay, so as you're working through your website, okay, so these are kind of in tandem, your giving platform and your website. Make sure that everywhere you have your giving forms linked. And again, this is applicable to our platform, but also hopefully if you're using digital giving somewhere else and you're capturing your gifts through a form, that's just kind of industry standard. So most digital forms, giving forms, have a link. Hopefully they've got fund designations that's more specific to churches and ministries, but hopefully they've got that feature for you, and then varying payment options. So go ahead, and so this should be applicable to anyone using a form with these things. Make sure that the link that is shared on your website and everywhere else is up to date. It's still active. It's not a dead link like Philip was talking about. He's super judgy on dead links. If you've got him, he's not going to your church.
So judgy.
And then if you're sharing QR codes, make sure that those are still accurate. They don't change, but it's just best practice to just, make sure everything's, I call my husband double check Jeff because he double checks everything. So best practice, double check those. Make sure your fund designations are still active depending on how your platform is set up. On our platform, if a fund is set to end, then most likely the form will expire as well, because for I don't know the right word, but for like business reasons, churches cannot either exceed a certain amount or they cannot exceed a certain, like if it's the end of the year, you can't collect gifts after midnight on December 31st. So if those links have expired, make sure that if those funds have expired, make sure that they haven't impacted any forms that you have live. And then all the payment methods that you want, like we talked about a couple slides ago or last slide, make sure all the payment methods that you'd like to make available to your congregation are active and enabled on each of your forms. On that same note, we've talked a lot about payment methods, but we wanted to remind you that we offer PayPal, Google Wallet, stock and crypto coming very soon, like probably next week or so. The next week after that, we will be able to offer Apple Pay. And then shortly after that, Venmo, which is really so fun. And then in case you missed it, we recently released something called automated check deposit. And so this isn't necessarily like a method that you can provide on your form, but we did want to, make you aware that if you are collecting checks and you're receiving many, many checks each month, and you would like to save time on going to the bank, and then also want to lean into the consolidated reporting, we do offer automated check deposit. So essentially you will scan your checks and they will be added to the donor profile within the giving platform. They will be included on your transactions report. And you'll be able, and then you'll have all the batch information in your deposit report as well. So if you are interested in automated check deposit, it is an add-on feature. And it's not for everybody, but if you are a larger church, or even if you're a smaller church and you're still receiving like 100 checks a week and you're tired of manually inputting all of those, this would be a really, really great option for you. So again, we've got an article that gives more information, including pricing. And so if you would like to find out more about automated check deposit, let us know. And then I think, are we wrapping up? Is this it?
Well, just about. Let me just make one quick note here on stock and crypto, because I think it's so important, which is a lot of churches have been hesitant to jump into this because the administrative burden is so great. You got to open up brokerage accounts. You got to figure out what a Bitcoin wallet is. Why do you need to know what a blockchain is? But you're trying to research all these terms, right? And we take all that headache away through our partnership with the Giving Block. And so allow us to do that. And it doesn't cost you anything. It is free per month. All you pay is the processing fee per transaction. And the reality is this is not going away. So
Yeah.
and if you want to talk to your local CPA or financial planner, you can find out all the many reasons why people want to give through stock and crypto, because it is advantageous on levels that I couldn't speak to. But check with your local CPA about that. But yes, we are here at the end, and I just want to leave you with this question, which is, are you getting the most from your church software?
Mm-hmm.
So like Jessica said earlier, if you're not using our platform, hey, no problem. But if you think that there are elements we've talked about today where we could better serve you or come alongside you in the technology that you're already using, we'd love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are using our platforms, but you feel like, hey, I'm seeing a lot of stuff here that I'm not doing, I didn't even know it could do that. Again, we would still love to come alongside you and show you how you can maximize the tools that you already have at your fingertips. So just in a quick summary here, we want to make sure that we update our records so we have great data and great member care and great guest follow-up as we go into the fall. We want to make sure that our communications and our website have been updated, because that is the front door of our ministry. And we want to make sure that we're maximizing automations so that it takes away a lot of the tedious burdens that a lot of us are shouldering and allows us to spend more time focused on people and the discipleship process. And then finally, growing our giving just means creating the pathways to allow your people to be generous and to have a culture of generosity. That's all that means. And so we want to help you do it. So feel free to reach out to us. And of course, like I mentioned at the top, we're going to be sending you, after this webinar is over, a recording of the webinar. Of course, you can rewatch, you can share with folks on your staff. You're going to get a checklist of a lot of the things that we talked about with links to our help center. And so we'd love for you to take advantage of that. And I'll just say this, we have 4 minutes till the top of the hour. We're going to actually get out a little bit early here. And it's kind of like the church that I grew up in, First Baptist Church on the corner of a major intersection. Right across the street was First Methodist Church. And every Sunday we would watch to see which church got out first, because that church was the one that was going to get to all the best eating places and get the best seats. And then that church would be the one high-fiving their pastor. Best sermon I ever heard, Pastor. So we're going to get you out of here a little bit early today. And Jessica, why don't you wrap us up with any final thoughts?
Yeah, again, like Philip said, we just appreciate y'all being here. It is a boost to us when we actually have people in here with us to engage. And so thank you for taking time out of your day. We do this for you guys. We just appreciate you as clients, but also partners in ministry. And so we're honored that you would spend time with us. Hopefully you got something out of this webinar today. I did just want to piggyback on what they'll receive. They're also going to get the Q&A. We had a couple people ask about that. So you will also get the Q&A in the follow-up email. So that is a benefit to this platform that we couldn't do very easily with Zoom. So hopefully you comb through those questions. I'm sure if someone posted it, you were probably thinking it or wondering it. So yeah, thanks for being here. You'll get all the things, and take advantage of this season and make sure that you're ready to go into this school year and love on people at your ministry. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you.